The Soviet Union unleashed over 300,000 artillery pieces in World War II, more than any other nation. From the legendary Katyusha rocket launchers to the massive siege guns that flattened Berlin, these are every Soviet artillery weapon that dominated the Eastern Front. 76mm M1942 ZS-3 Divisional gun. The ZS-3 was the most produced artillery piece in history, with over 103,000 units built. This versatile 76mm gun could fire 25 rounds per minute and served as both anti-tank and infantry support weapon throughout the entire war. 122mm M1938 howitzer, M30. The M30 howitzer became the backbone of Soviet divisional artillery, firing 122mm shells up to 11 kilometers. Over 19,000 were produced, and its devastating firepower supported every major Soviet offensive from Stalingrad to Berlin. 152mm ML-20 gun howitzer. This heavy 152mm gun howitzer combined the range of a gun with the plunging fire of a howitzer. Capable of firing 43-kilogram shells over 17 kilometers, it demolished German fortifications and earned the nickname the Beast among Wehrmacht troops. 45mm M1937 anti-tank gun. The 45mm anti-tank gun was Russia's primary tank killer in the early war, based on a German design. Though it struggled against later Panzer models, over 37,000 were produced and they remained in service as infantry support guns. 57mm ZS-2 anti-tank gun. When the T-34 shocked the Wehrmacht, Germany responded with heavier armor. The Soviets countered with the 57mm ZS-2, which could penetrate 145mm of armor at 500 meters, making it lethal against Tigers and Panthers. 85mm 52K anti-aircraft gun. Originally designed as anti-aircraft artillery, the 85mm 52K proved devastatingly effective against German tanks. Its high-velocity shells could penetrate the armor of any Panzer, and it was later adapted for the T-34-85 tank. BM-13 Katyusha rocket launcher. The Katyusha, meaning Little Katy, terrorized German forces with its distinctive screaming sound. Mounted on trucks, these 16 rail launchers could fire 132mm rockets in devastating salvos, saturating entire grid squares in seconds. 76mm M1927 regimental gun. This short-barreled 76mm infantry gun accompanied Soviet rifle regiments, providing direct fire support. Light enough to be manhandled by its crew, over 18,000 were built and they served from the Winter War through 1945. 120mm M1938 mortar. The 120mm mortar became the standard Soviet heavy mortar, firing 16-kilogram bombs up to 5.7 kilometers. Its rapid fire rate and portability made it ideal for the mobile warfare doctrine the Red Army perfected during Operation Bagration. 82mm M1937 mortar. Based on the French Brandt design, the 82mm mortar was the workhorse of Soviet infantry battalions. Over 130,000 were produced, providing immediate indirect fire support that could respond faster than traditional artillery. 107mm M1910 gun. This World War I-era gun remained in Soviet service throughout World War II. Though outdated, its 107mm shells were effective against field fortifications, and existing stockpiles meant it supplemented newer designs during desperate early war battles. 122mm M1931 gun, A-19. The A-19 was a powerful co-level gun that could engage targets at 20 kilometers. Its armor-piercing capabilities made it effective against German tanks, and it later formed the basis for the IS-2 tank's main armament. 152mm M1910-34 howitzer. A modernized version of its Tsaristira design, this 152mm howitzer served throughout the war. While not as advanced as later models, it provided reliable heavy fire support and over 8,000 remained in service by 1945. 152mm M1937 howitzer, ML-20. Not to be confused with the gun howitzer, this pure howitzer fired heavier projectiles at higher trajectories. Effective against dug-in infantry and concrete bunkers, it was essential during the siege warfare phases of the Eastern Front. 203mm B4 howitzer. The massive B4 fired 203mm shells weighing 100 kilograms up to 18 kilometers. These siege howitzers pulverized German fortifications during Operation Bagration and the assault on Königsberg, earning the nickname Stalin Sledgehammer. 280mm BR-5 mortar. The heaviest mortar in Soviet service, The BR-5 fired enormous 280mm shells that could destroy any fortification. Though only 52 were built, they were instrumental in reducing the most heavily defended German positions. 305mm M1915 howitzer. This colossal World War I-era howitzer was brought out of storage for the siege of Berlin. Firing 305mm shells weighing over 330 kilograms, these ancient giants provided the firepower needed to crack open the city's massive defenses. 37mm 61K anti-aircraft gun. The 61K automatic anti-aircraft gun could fire 160 rounds per minute, creating a wall of flak against Luftwaffe attackers. Over 20,000 were produced, defending Soviet cities and military formations from aerial assault. M8 and M13 rocket systems. Beyond the famous Katyusha, the Soviets deployed various rocket artillery systems. The M8 fired 82mm rockets from launchers mounted on everything from trucks to T-60 tanks, providing mobile, concentrated firepower. 160mm M1943 mortar. Introduced late in the war, the 160mm mortar bridged the gap between standard mortars and howitzers. Its 40-kilogram bombs delivered devastating explosive power while maintaining the mortar's quick setup and displacement advantages. BM-13 heavy rocket launcher. The BM-31 launched 300mm rockets nicknamed Andriusha, even larger than the Katyusha's missiles. These massive projectiles created enormous explosions, used primarily for destroying fortified positions and breaking German defensive lines. 76mm M1939 Universal Gun, USV. The USV was designed as a do-everything gun, effective against infantry, fortifications, and early war tanks. While it couldn't penetrate later German armor, over 9,800 were built and served in various roles throughout the conflict. 100mm BS-3 field gun. Entering service in 1944, the BS-3 was one of the war's most powerful anti-tank guns. Its 100mm armor-piercing shells could destroy any German tank from extreme range, and it remained in service for decades after the war. 76mm M1931 anti-aircraft gun. This 76mm high-velocity gun defended Soviet airspace early in the war. Though eventually outclassed by heavier calibers, it remained effective against medium-altitude bombers and could be pressed into anti-tank service when needed. 152mm M1943 howitzer, D1. The D1 represented Soviet artillery's evolution, combining the firepower of heavy howitzers with improved mobility. Introduced in 1943, it supported the Red Army's victorious offensives all the way to Berlin with devastating effect. 122mm M1931 37 gun, A19. An improved version of earlier designs, this long-range gun could accurately engage targets beyond 20 kilometers. Its performance against German armor led to its adaptation as the main gun of the IS-2 heavy tank. M30 rocket launcher system. The M30 launched 300mm rockets from stationary frames, providing strategic bombardment capability. These weapons were used to saturate German rear areas, disrupting supply lines and reserves before major Soviet offensives. 210mm BR-17 mortar. Though produced in limited numbers, the BR-17 heavy mortar filled a unique niche between standard mortars and siege howitzers. Its 210mm shells could demolish concrete bunkers and fortified buildings with devastating precision. 122mm M1910-30 howitzer. Another modernization of Tsarist artillery, this 122mm howitzer bridged the gap until newer designs entered mass production. Reliable and available in large numbers, it served throughout the war despite its outdated design. 76mm M1938 regimental gun. An improved version of the M1927, this regimental gun offered better performance while maintaining the mobility infantry units needed. It accompanied rifle regiments in direct fire roles, destroying machine gun nests and light fortifications. 37mm M1930 anti-tank gun. The Soviets' first specialized anti-tank gun, based on German designs, the 37mm M1930 was already obsolete by 1941. However, desperate circumstances meant it remained in service during the early war years when every weapon was needed. BM-8-24 light rocket launcher. Mounting 24 rails for 82mm rockets on a light truck chassis, the BM-8-24 provided rocket artillery support for fast-moving mechanized units. Its lightweight meant it could keep pace with advancing tank formations.
Subscribe for more video.